Hey guys, John Lee Dumas here, founder and host of EO Fire, and you're listening to Bravepreneur Parents Academy with ldquo.
Welcome to Bravepreneur Parents Academy, where the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs reveal their most defining childhood moments and share their legacy for raising brave little heroes who will grow up to change the world. And now, he still reads comic books under the blanket at bedtime. Please welcome your host, best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and self-confessed geek dad, ldquo. You know, like the hotel in Vegas? Yeah, no, that's really his name. ldquo.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Bravepreneur Parents Academy. Now, parents, if you're frustrated with how much time you're having to invest in the business day in and day out, week in and week out, at the expense of your health, at the expense of your relationships, today you're going to discover a different approach. You're about to discover how to grow your client base and cash flow so you can spend more time with your family. Okay, so the lady we're talking to today, a wonderful friend of mine, she's the host of the Easy Online Marketing Podcast. She's the author of Click and Grow Rich. She's a powerful speaker. She's shared big stages with some of the biggest speakers in the world today. She's been featured on Oprah, ESPN, PBS, NBC, Canada Marketing Summit, National Speakers Association. Just stop me whenever you like. She's dynamic, energetic, effusively positive, one of the most inspiring speakers and women you'll ever meet. Please help me welcome the equestrian, the horse whisperer, the songstress, the product queen, Miss Maritza Parra.
Balaji, thank you so much. I love that introduction, and it is such an honor to be here on your show today.
Oh, goodness, the honor is all mine. I've been a fan of your work for many months. Thank you for making the time today. This is exciting. Maritza, you have a fascinating story, and it all started with horses. Before we get into some of your superpowers, okay, around list building and product creation and really helping us entrepreneurs to build an audience of raving fans, I'd like to go back and talk a little bit about how you became such a dynamic entrepreneur at such a young age.
Well, it all happened because of pain. Pain motivated me to actually start my first business. I was absolutely passionate about horses. I was lucky enough to bother my parents so much that they finally had to buy me a horse to make me be quiet. And I started learning how to ride. I started learning how to care for an animal. And then when I became a teenager, I had to get a job because I wanted more riding lessons. Horses are expensive, and I wanted to be able to get the best gear for my horse. So I got a job in a laundromat, and I hated it. It was so painful. It was horrible. And it really was, that experience, one of the biggest blessings in my life, because going in and smelling the chemicals, instead of being outside in nature with these beautiful animals, going in and having somebody tell me what to do instead of being able to be self-directed was very, very painful. So that motivated me to search and look for and develop a business out of my horses.
So you had a passion as a teen. How old were you when you got your first horse, Maritza?
Oh my gosh. When I got my first horse, I was 8 years old.
You were 8 years old,
Yes.
and then you learned how to ride, and you eventually got the job in the laundromat. I imagine you weren't 8
No.
when you were working at the laundromat, so this was a few years later.
Yes, it was quite a few years later. And I remember I told my brother, I am going to be able to do what I love with the horses. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work out. And he rolled his eyes at me and he said, good luck with that. And a couple of years later, I was hiring him to be a performer in my show.
My
Yes.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Every sister's dream.
Yes.
My goodness. That is pretty cool. Now, were either of your parents entrepreneurs? Where do you think this sort of came from?
Well, I have had entrepreneurship in my lineage. My parents weren't exactly entrepreneurs, but my grandparents were. On my mom's side, my grandparents made bath and beauty products for the local community in South America, in Colombia. And so I knew that, they really hustled to create the products, to sell them. And I think that part of that was given to me. And I saw that and I heard the stories.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you had a bit of a legacy of entrepreneurship. And after that laundromat experience, I think it's really valuable how you talk about your innovation and your drive coming from that pain you went through being an employee. Did you actually ever find yourself in a corporate job then? Did you kind of enter being an employee as an adult?
I did. I had one experience. After I got divorced, and this was, again, many years ago, I had stopped working and stopped doing my horse show and stopped marketing it to corporate events that come to our area and to tour groups because I was going through fertility issues. And the doctor, after a few years of not being able to have children, he said, maybe you need to totally stop with the riding, with the training the horses, and just focus on starting a family. So I had really stopped my business other than the horse breeding side and selling the horses. But that brought in income periodically because it takes a while to raise a horse and, sell it. So I was really at that point dependent on my husband at the time. And then one day he came home and said, I don't want to be married anymore. So I had these horses that I was going to be financially responsible for. And I had to go get a job. And I started having panic attacks and just, a terrible time in my life because, again, I hated having a job. And it was very motivating. I got into spirituality and into self-development. And that experience led me to starting another line of a business about law of attraction coaching and spirituality. And that was the reason Oprah's producer reached out to me to get me on the show around the time of the movie The Secret.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. So all of this sort of connected together. That's fascinating.
Well, I think that everybody's entrepreneurial journey, I think what you just said is so important. There's so many different connections that you see later. And when you're in it, these painful moments of failure, you think that it's the worst, the most devastating thing. But if you look carefully and if you're open to, God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call it, there's a path for you to turn that into a huge opportunity and a huge win if you're willing to stop wallowing in the negativity and the self-pity and you're looking for opportunities.
Maritza, I want to go back to when you told your brother those years, many years ago, that you were going to be able to make a living off of your passion, which was horses and still is one of your main passions. A lot of us today, Maritza, even with the benefit of the internet, still feel somewhat stuck. We know what our passion is, but monetizing that passion, making it a reality, something that can liberate us from a 9-to-5 job. It seems like we run into so many different obstacles. Could you maybe illustrate to us how you were able to go from having one horse to actually making that into a passion-centered business?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you the story and then I'll tell you what people need to look for to be able to do the same thing. So basically, it was my father's birthday was coming up. And it was me, my brother, and 2 other riders from the same stables. And we all did the same type of riding, which is classical dressage. Basically, we make the horses dance. So we didn't have anything to give my dad. So we decided to do a mini horse show. And I choreographed it to Spanish music because the type of horses we ride are Spanish. And we had outfits on, the best that we could put together, like Spanish outfits and boleros for the boys and scarves and all kinds of things.
Love it.
And so we choreographed it and I did the show for him and some of his friends. And one of his friends was somebody on the board of the South Texas Kidney Foundation. And they asked if we would replicate the show that we had just done for my dad's birthday for their fundraiser. So we did. And there were people like members of the Spurs basketball team and local celebrities and local business people. And we just kept being asked to do things. And so for a while, we just did these things for free. And finally, I said, wow, I can't keep doing this for free. It takes gas to trailer the horses over to wherever. It takes time. So one day, an attorney's wife asked me at one of the events, will you come to our place, bring the horses, and do this show for my husband's birthday? And my teenage mind was like, attorneys have money. So I said, yes, and it will cost you $500.
Okay.
And she said yes without blinking
What?
at all. And as soon as that happened, I said, okay, if one person will pay me for this, more people will pay me for this. And so what people need is two things. The first thing they need is passion, because starting a business, it's going to require grit, hard work, and sometimes you're going to have a failure that's going to make you want to quit. If you're not passionate about what you do, you probably will quit. The second thing you need is specialized expertise, knowledge, or to create an experience. And so if you can create an experience that has people feeling certain emotions, those inspired, add story to it. That's what I did with the horses. The acts that we do with the horses are totally inspiring. There's something so different. So we created an experience for people. So if you have passion, and then that second thing, specialized expertise, or you create an experience, then you can have a business. The problem with most people is that they're just copying what other people are doing, and they're not bringing in their own unique value. And everyone has something that's unique. Absolutely everyone. So that's basically what you need to be successful.
Gosh, Maritza, you did this as a teenager. You've shared a lot of stuff that I want to unpack very quickly. But first and foremost, I'm inspired by the fact that you made the offer. You asked that attorney's wife for a fee.
I know.
And a lot of us sometimes are uncomfortable with that point, that kind of crossing that final threshold of asking for compensation for the value that we're providing. Do you sort of mentor your clients on that particular point? And if so, how do you help them get over the hump?
Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite things to do. I actually posted on my Facebook today an email that I got from a client who started working with me a little over a month ago, and she was having financial issues, and she's an incredible healer, she has a gift. She's an animal communicator. She's incredible. And she's made about $38,500 in about a month since I started working with her. And the big thing that I love helping people with is reframing the sales process. So I go all the way back with the way I train people on the sales process to 1000 BC. And I've gotten this from the Vedas, that sacred text from India. And in the Vedas, they talk about two different types of leaders. So one type of leader is the warrior leader. And when you are an entrepreneur, you are a leader. Make no mistake. You are leading and you are helping with your products and services, the value, the unique value you bring to the world. So there's the warrior leader. And the warrior leader is the one we are all very accustomed to. This is the coffee is for closers. Make the sale at any do anything to make the sale. Always be selling. The second type of leader they talk about in the Vedas is the healer, is the priest, is kind of like a doctor. So in this type of selling, and I teach what I call the sacred sales conversation, and this conversation can happen either on a one-on-one basis or on a one-to-many, like on a webinar. And it's different. It's diagnosing what the pain is, what the problem is. And then it's making an offer to those people that your product and service can actually help and heal something for them, heal some pain. So it's a sacred process, and it's very different from that warrior sales mentality. It's a healer mentality.
Fascinating, fascinating. It strikes me that I had an experience just yesterday. I had a plumber come by my house because the trash compactor seemed to be broken in my sink. And so he came by. He spent all of 10 seconds. I should give a caveat. A lot of guys are handy around the house. I'm not one of those guys. Okay. So he comes in. He's like, oh, he twists this here. He pushes that button. It's working again. $75. I didn't flinch to write that check for $75 because he came in. He diagnosed my problem. He gave me a solution. I didn't say, hey, but you only spent 3 minutes. We just have that relationship. Okay. If it's a plumber, if it's a doctor, if it's someone who's coming in to fix a pain point, they come in, they do their thing, we pay their fee.
Right.
But if it was a salesperson that came to my door and tried to extract $75 out of me for whatever, I'd probably close the door on him.
Right.
So I really like this approach that you're taking with your clients. It's very powerful.
Yes, and it feels so much better. It's not pushy at all. It is simply diagnosing what's going on and saying, here's a solution. Now it's up to you whether or not you want the solution. And you want to be totally not attached to the outcome. Because a lot of people are so attached to, I got to make the sale. I need the sale. And that energy comes through.
Wow, that desperation.
Yes. It's kind of like any personal relationship. If you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you're like, I need you, the other person's going to run the other way.
Oh my gosh, that is funny. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, Maritza, so that was really powerful. But I want to make sure we don't miss the point you were making earlier about folks needing to either have specialized knowledge or to create an experience. Okay, so specialized knowledge, what does that really mean? Does that mean I have to be like the guru? I have to be like the smartest person in the industry? What is specialized knowledge?
So a lot of people are scared of their own expertise and feel, oh, I'm not the master, the all-encompassing number one master at whatever your market or expertise is. You don't have to be the overall number one master. All you have to be is, a few steps ahead of whoever you are trying to help with your expertise and making it yours, making it unique. I've got another client who is incredible at helping people with their money issues and getting over their money stories. And one of the ways that we are making her a lot more unique is that she's also a very accomplished musician. And she has also done meditations and music, healing type of music with her flute and her composing. So we're adding that all in together so that she creates these money block breakthrough meditations and things like that. So it's very specialized knowledge that she already has and adding her unique twist to it.
Fascinating.
When you can have an expertise and you can make that into an experience, oh my gosh, that's when you have that's when everything you do can turn into gold.
I'm loving this. Okay, so Maritza, I get the concept of specialized knowledge. You've illustrated that for me. Help me maybe wrap my brain around this whole thing about experience. I can see with the horses, for example, how you and your brother and the rest of your team created an amazing experience with the stories and the choreography, but maybe my business isn't as exciting as horses. What are some ways that we can sort of mine our own experiences to create those stories?
So one of the best ways of turning something into an experience is I follow a lot of the teachings of Joseph Campbell, who is not here anymore. He was the great mythologist, and he came up with the 12 steps of the hero's journey. And all of the big stories, the compelling myths that we have they all go through this 12-step blueprint that he created. So I take my students through the 12 steps of this hero's journey and help them extract what their compelling stories are. And sometimes they're not their compelling stories. Sometimes you can make a great point and create an experience through the power of parables. So I use a lot of parables from, the Zen tradition or different ancient texts and things like that to add to my experience. And then sometimes people can also use their client stories to create that experience. And talents also, like the musician Cynthia, my student, who is adding her musical healing abilities to her money breakthrough method.
Fascinating. Very interesting. Okay. This is good. So, Maritza, you were able to grow this horse business over the ensuing years. You actually got to travel around the world. So you weren't just in Texas anymore. You got to travel around the country with your horses.
Yes, we did. And that was so much fun. That actually was when I was in my 20s. We traveled all over. It was kind of like being in the circus. It was so fun. And we did some incredible shows for different PR companies and the New York Racing Association. For example, we rode in downtown Chicago in Daley Plaza in front of the Picasso sculpture. And that was just crazy, incredible. And then everyone in the show started getting married, and we didn't want to travel as much anymore because everyone's wanting to start a family. So I really learned direct response marketing principles, and I started marketing the show to tour and convention groups. So we did, the business has morphed based on the needs of myself and the other guys who ride in the show.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Now at a certain point, Maritza, at this point, when people started getting married, you started to incorporate this concept that a lot of us are familiar with today. It must have been maybe a newer concept then. List building. Tell me about list building. How did that become part of your story?
Oh my goodness. It has changed my life. And it's funny because list building actually started in the 1800s.
Okay, now hold on. Now, what are you talking about?
It was snail mail list building. So
really?
Physical addresses, with things like the She&rsquo catalog. People would get those things. That was a form of list building. So Sears or whatever, the local drugstore would have your snail mail address, and they'd be able to send you out information, special offers, things like that. And then when the internet happened, it just transitioned to the electronic type of mail instead of snail mail. But it's the same principle, letting people know what's going on. And it's changed my life. And it still is so powerful, even though it's not as easy as it was when the internet first happened. So because I did direct response marketing for the horse show, I started a website about the horses when the internet happened, and I knew enough that I knew that, hey, if I can communicate with them and send them a newsletter about the horses, that would be really valuable. I didn't really know how, but I knew that it was something important to do. What if somebody got on my list who was going to come to San Antonio and wanted to book the show or whatever? So that was the only offering I had at the time. And I was communicating with my horse newsletter list once a week. And one day when I was in that job after getting divorced, this is what freed me from that job. I ended up saying, well, I've been communicating with them for a while. What if I actually offered them something to buy? And so that was kind of an incredible moment. And I actually surveyed them and I asked them, okay, what would you want to buy from me? And they told me. They totally responded. So I did a teleseminar because webinars think they even existed at the time. So I did a teleseminar, and I was scared. I was really scared because I'd never made them an offer. And I told them, hey, you guys told me exactly what you wanted. Here's what I'm going to give you. It's a set of 6 DVDs. And I made in a couple of days $29,746. And
Stop.
yes, and that changed my life because my horse business is and was incredible. But I had to choreograph the shows. I had to ride every day in preparation for the shows. I had to put my makeup on and my big, giant, fancy, frilly flamenco dress to get on the horses. With this, I created the 6 DVDs. And I sold them over and over and over. It didn't take any more time. So it totally was like the holy grail of business. And when that happened, I said, wow, okay, if I did this once, I can do this again. So I've built lists with the horse business, with law of attraction, with the bath and beauty products, with marketing, with product creation. And it can be really incredibly lucrative.
Wow, this is stunning. And there's something that actually is jumping out to me. You've talked about specialized knowledge, Maritza. You started off with your specialized knowledge at 8 years old or shortly thereafter being horses. But when you created the show, you added storytelling and creating an experience. And then subsequently, as it grew, you added direct marketing as a specialized piece of knowledge. And then you added list building. And I sort of am highlighting that because a lot of us listening today might feel like, oh, well, I don't have a lot of specialized knowledge. I don't have what Maritza has. It looks like you kind of built the stuff along the way.
Absolutely. Everything I have done has been looking for the opportunities. Finding, what's working, do more of that. What's not working, what can I learn from it? Finding the opportunities. And I want to go back to what you said. You said it was horses. Well, it was actually a very specific type of horse, Iberian horses. So Spanish and Portuguese horses, and then a specific type of riding, classical dressage. So I have people on my list who want to learn about classical dressage, and I have people on my list who just enjoy watching it.
Wow. That's fantastic. Okay, so Maritza, let's focus in now on our listener. Okay, they're inspired. They're loving the story. They're taking lots of notes. I'm taking lots of notes. But why do we as entrepreneurs need a list like yesterday? Why do you emphasize the importance of a list so much?
Oh my goodness, because when you have the attention of a list, you can sell to them over and over again. And there are several things that will help start or grow a business. And those things are being able to have a ready audience to sell to. Another one is being able to increase the average transaction value for those people that you're in front of. So that's done by things like, hey, do you want fries with that? Like an upsell,
Right.
And you can do things like send out broadcasts with, hey, there's this new special offer, and get lots of sales at the same time. So you're basically speaking one to many and helping people one to many with your content and your offers. So instead of going out and trying to get people to buy one-on-one, it's a totally leveraged type of system that you're creating.
But which one comes first, Maritza? Does the list come first? Do the profits come first? Do I need to be a profitable business and then go out and use those profits to build a list, or do I build a list first? For folks who don't know where to start, help us out.
So you can actually start building a list without having any products whatsoever. And if you want to launch a product, start building your list today. You can find people on social media using different hashtags. You can invite them to opt in for something great on your website. So it's got to be really good. It's got to be really specific, not a 200-page ebook, not a webinar that's about general principles, something that's hitting a severe pain point. And so you want to create that list building gift, and it cannot be get on my list for a newsletter. That used to work when I started my horse website. It totally used to work. But now people are so over inundated with emails and things that it's got to be super specific. So hone in on the pain points of your prospect. Create a great, great list building gift that is specific and easy to consume. Find your people on social media, and if you go speak at meetups or whatever, get people on your list. Offer that great free gift and start that today. Yesterday.
All right. We got a minute, so we will. But now I do have to call out a certain mentality or mindset, I should say, that plagues folks who maybe are just getting started with their list or haven't had momentum with the list building. Maybe they have, Maritza, 20 people on their list, or 50 people, or 74 people on their list. And they feel like it's almost not worth investing energy in communicating with the list. They're more focused on bringing more people in versus talking to those few people on the list. What do you think folks in that situation should do?
Well, I have diagnosed people in that situation as having list building stage fright. Most of them. And the more educated the expert is, the more list building stage fright they have. They start getting people on their list and they're like, oh, now they want me to say something smart. Uh-oh.
That's right.
Yeah. So they get scared and they don't communicate with their list, and they just look for new people to get on their list. And let me tell you that if you have 20 people on your list, that is a reason to celebrate. As long as they're not your mom and your sister. As long as they're real people on your list who opted in for a specific reason. One of my clients had 62 people on our list when she came to me, and we crafted a high value offer, and she went to that 62 person list and she ended up making a little under $15,000.
Come on, Maritza.
Yes,
seriously?
Absolutely. As long as you're creating a high, and every expert listening to the sound of my voice right now, every expert, you've got a product that's $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. You have a product like that in you. Maybe you're undervaluing yourself, and maybe you don't know exactly how to structure it, but I promise you have got a product of that value inside of you. And when you sell that product, you're going to have highly committed clients who actually take action on what you're helping them with. So even if you have a small list, you can start profiting now and have that breathing room and that peace of mind with cash flow coming in while you put in the list building systems and structures so that you can grow that list to 100, 200, 300, 1,000 and beyond.
Maritza, I'm hoping you didn't just cause an accident. Folks are driving to work or from work as they listen to the sound of your voice. You just said that everyone listening to this right now has a $1,000, $2,000, or even $5,000 product in them.
Yes, as long as you have an expertise that you can help people with, or you can help craft an experience for people. For something that people want. That's really important. If it's like crocheting purple socks, then that's not really an expertise. So you definitely have to have an expertise. And again, this is not the end all be all expert. This is, you can help people get from where they are to where they want to be in a specific niche.
That's really, really powerful. And I can imagine that the clients that come to you already have this specialized knowledge, but you're able to almost spin what they have. It's like spinning straw into gold. It's the value's already there. They're just not seeing it. They don't know how to extract it or package it or communicate it. And that seems to be one of your many superpowers.
Absolutely. It is. That's one of the things. It's so crazy. When we do our group coaching calls with the mentees that I have now, I don't know what happens, but it's like I can hone in on what their value is and what makes them unique, and sometimes they can't see it because it's right at the tip of their nose. It's so close that they can't see it, and they can't see what's unique about it or what's special about it because it's part of them.
I love this. I love this. Maritza, there's so much more that I'd love to cover with you, but I told you 30 minutes and I gotta keep to that. So we're going to let you go. Before we let you go, Maritza, you've been an amazing guest. You got people excited. Okay. So we're going to tell folks how to learn more about what you're teaching in just a minute. But before we do that, Maritza, we like to put our guests through what we call the lightning round.
I love it.
Are you up for it?
Yes,
Are you up for it,
absolutely.
Maritza? All right. Might not be pretty, but okay. Here we go. Maritza, we're going back to your childhood. First and foremost, can you tell us, if you had one, who your favorite superhero was growing up?
Yes, it is Aurora from X-Men.
Wow. You got extra bonus points for that. That is the first on the show. I love that.
I love her so much. Exotic. Powerful. I could see myself as a Hispanic woman, in an exotic, wonderful, incredible, powerful woman. So I love her.
Oh, that is too cool. And for those of you that have been following my work for a while, you know that I create superheroes for kids. Maritza has been trying to get me to create a superhero from Colombia. So, that we're going to talk about that. We might have something for you guys pretty soon. Okay, that's a very cool one. Maritza, what about a favorite cartoon show growing up?
Okay, this one runs the gamut from Aurora, who was super cool, to somebody who's not so cool, but I love his attitude, Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo!
Yeah, because so many people, he can teach us so much about messing up and failure and still being happy and still keeping going and not letting it stop you.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Let's keep it going, though. Favorite family tradition growing up?
So we are obviously a very a Hispanic family and very close-knit. Whenever we go somewhere, like we leave to go in the car or we leave on a trip, we give each other a little ding, 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 ding. And we call it ding, 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 ding on the forehead. And I'm not really religious. I'm spiritual. But it's kind of like the sign of the cross on the head just to protect you and to, keep you safe on your travel, even if it's going to somebody else's house. So we just, and even all of my friends who are not Hispanic and not religious at all, now they do it too. So we just touch each other's forehead, ding, 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 like a little cross. And that means, go and you're safe.
I love that. That is great. All right. Maritza, can you maybe take us back? Do you have one of those hyper embarrassing moments from childhood or the teenage years? One cringeworthy memory that maybe still sticks with you?
Okay. All you had to say is cringeworthy. And I have taken back exactly to that moment.
Take us to that place.
So I was at a horse show and I think I was about 12, 13. I had short hair and I had no curves whatsoever. I was just a little tomboy. And I had just finished doing a show, and one of my mom's friends came with her also teenage daughter, and the mom's friend started talking to my mom and saying, like, trying to match me with her daughter. She thought I was a boy.
Oh, no.
Yes, she thought I was a boy. And so I immediately went into my mom's purse and put all the makeup on I could. And that's the day I decided to grow my hair out. And I became super feminine instead of this total tomboy. That really affected me for a long time.
Oh, my gosh. I'm so sorry.
I know. Oh, my gosh. I've never shared that publicly.
Well, thank you. That was a good one. That was definitely a good one. Maritza, before we let you go, do you have maybe a word of encouragement or inspiration for those entrepreneurs out there who have been putting in the work? They're passionate about what they do. They're doing this for the love of their family. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes they feel like they're alone out there. Do you maybe have a word of encouragement for them?
Oh, my goodness. Yes. I would love for you guys to start valuing yourself and your expertise more. There is an epidemic that it, still goes on with so many entrepreneurs, particularly with women, but I also see this in men entrepreneurs, of undervaluing yourself. And if you don't value yourself and your offerings, then nobody's going to value them, and nobody's going to use them, and nobody's going to use them to the extent that they would if they actually invested in themselves through your products and services. So value yourself more. I challenge you to raise your prices, to find that $1,000 offer, that $2,000 offer, that $5,000 offer, and sell it with a sacred sales process where you are healing somebody with your offerings. I mean, this will change your life. This will give you more breathing space to be able to be with your family more and to be able to make more of an impact on your clients.
Wow. Wow, profound. You heard it here, folks. Miss Maritza Parra, she is a powerful, powerful speaker. I told you, she's one of the most positive and inspiring speakers that you're going to hear anywhere. She's been featured on Oprah, ESPN, PBS, National Speakers Association, and she's as real as it gets. Miss Maritza Parra, thank you.
Balaji, thank you so much.
This has been a fun one, guys. I hope you are fired up and ready to create that 4-figure product, okay? For more information about Maritza, you can find her at maritzaparra.com. That's Maritza, and her last name is Parra, maritzaparra.com. Very beautiful name. You can also find her on iTunes. She has a podcast. She's on iTunes, Stitcher, everywhere podcasts are broadcast. And Maritza, what's the name of the podcast show?
It is Easy Online Marketing. And actually, if you go to easyonlinemarketing.com, you can also get to my website.
Love it. Love it. This has been a fun one, guys. Make sure you rewind this one. Take some action on this. Check Maritza out. She teaches a lot more on her podcast and on her site. This has been fun. Until tomorrow, folks, we'll be back. Same time, same place. Up, up, and away.
Thanks for supporting my dad's show. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to iTunes. He said hot chocolate is for closers. If you don't subscribe, I don't get hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate.
Fear not. Although this chapter of Bravepreneur Parents Academy has come to its conclusion, we have many more adventures for you and your brave little heroes. Head over to bravequest.me for access to the Brave Quest Journal, an interactive activity playbook that rewards your little ones with points for accomplishing tasks that build character and unleash your child's inner superhero all before bedtime. We look forward to having you join us for more adventures next time on Bravepreneur Parents Academy.